Cannot believe a lot of people are not talking about this. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Enter the Dragon, one of the greatest martial arts films of all time, one of the greatest films of the 70s. In my personal opinion, one of the greatest movies of all time history, period. I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee's, if you could tell by the shirt. It's pretty evident. And here is the character that he played in Enter the Dragon. I don't know if that's properly showing it, but whatever. Also, one of my all-time favorite books is Be Water, My Friend, written by Shannon Lee. It's an excellent motivational / philosophical book using the quotes, journals, letters, teachings that he did through his films and also through his combat teachings. Bruce Lee is a genius and Shannon Lee is a genius in making this book and helping teach people using her father's words. And if you've never read it before, please do. It's an excellent book. It's a life-changing book. It changed my life after reading it. And yeah, going back to my point, I also want to talk about Enter the Dragon because it's 50 years. Got to celebrate a goated film, as some people would say. And it is such a cultural changing film because it's still a cultural touchstone till this date. And I think that Enter the Dragon is such an influential movie, not just for the action genre in general, but also in cinema and cinema history. So yeah, let's go in depth about the history and the influence that Enter the Dragon has had for the last 50 years. To start off, let's talk about the influence that the poster for the film had. Enter the Dragon's movie poster is one of the greatest movie posters of all time. It is visually stunning, so unique, so picturesque, and it's just striking. It screams whatever the movie is going to be about, and it's so breathtakingly brilliant. If you are a movie poster collector, this one is an essential have. You need to have this in your collection. If you don't, please do, because you are not a true movie / cinema lover if you don't have the movie poster for this film. Now, to go into the actual film itself. The movie came out in the summer of 1973, was made on a budget of almost $1 million, to be exact, around $800,000 or so. And the movie made $400 million in 1973. So if you were to calculate for inflation and to adjust it to today's money, that would be $2 billion plus in the box office worldwide. If you want to look at some of the biggest blockbusters of all time, it is pretty much in the top 5 of the biggest blockbusters of all time if you were to adjust it for inflation. Enter the Dragon was that big of a movie and that influential on culture. People worldwide love this film and still love this film to this date. And it helped introduce people, or the majority of the people worldwide, to this person that we all know by the name of the man, the myth, the legend, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is a force of nature. If you have never, ever seen a Bruce Lee film, or somehow, some way don't know who he is, start off with watching Enter the Dragon. I know a lot of people that are purists about the martial arts genre, and Bruce Lee purists might say that Enter the Dragon is not his best work, but in my personal opinion, it's probably the most accessible work that is there in order to get introduced to the legend that is Bruce Lee. And there's so much iconic lines, scenes in this film. Bruce Lee had his hand on this movie a lot. He actually striked against doing certain scenes in this movie because he wanted his character to be in-depth, very philosophical, well-rounded, and not just this one-note action star. He was pretty much almost like another director on set because he wanted his character and the things around him to be more than just a regular action film. And when you watch Enter the Dragon, even till this date, it is so much more like deeper than your usual action movie. There's great lines and great philosophical and mindful things in this movie, especially obviously the famous moon talk where he points to the moon and talks about that philosophical dialogue with the student. And yeah, Bruce Lee, it's so tragic because he never got to see the success because sadly he passed away before seeing this movie released worldwide. And again, Bruce Lee is a force of nature. His kicks, his punches, his screen presence was so unique, so vast in terms of the way that he portrayed himself on screen. If you want to know like how striking a person could be, watch his performance in Enter the Dragon. Not only in his fight combat sequences, but also in his acting. He's very stern, very stoic, very to the point. You can see the fire in his eyes. And he's just a force of nature. Again, like I said, if you want to know why he's so beloved to this date, watch Enter the Dragon, and you'll get a great introduction as to why this man is a genius and a really like a human version of a wrecking ball. Another reason why Enter the Dragon is so beloved to this date is because it's such a diverse film in terms of its cast, in terms of the locations that it got shot at, and also because of the genres that it used. It used genres like blaxploitation, the martial arts genre, and also it is technically an espionage thriller. I don't want to tell you the story of the film if you've never seen it before. It is a little bit over the top in terms of today's standard of film, but if you take into account that this film is from the 70s, you'll enjoy it a lot. And again, the cast is way more diverse than any film of that time, and also in comparison to films of today, it's still more diverse than your average film in Hollywood or even in world cinema in general. And also, the locations were very new to Hollywood and to many different people around the world in terms of watching an action film. Usually you see certain locations, but this was the first time you got to see this part of the world for a lot of people worldwide. And yeah, Enter the Dragon is so beloved because it helped pave the way and helped trailblaze a lot of people to get chances when usually in Hollywood, you never really saw a lot of different like diverse members from different walks of life being stars in a film. Because of Bruce Lee's conviction towards making himself into a star and the success of Enter the Dragon and his other films, he helped trailblaze the way for many other stars like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa, and also Academy Award-winning star Michelle Yeoh. He helped give a pathway for not just stars of Asian descent, but of other people of descent, to give them a shining light and a beacon of hope in terms of seeing a person of a different culture being a headlining star in a major motion picture. Enter the Dragon, again, made $2 billion worth of money in that time, in that era. And he helped pave the way and showed that even though it's still kind of a road that is still rocky till this date in terms of like seeing like diverse casts or crew, but he still helped pave and show and shine a light towards people getting a chance to headline movies that usually you would never think would be able to headline movies in Hollywood. And obviously, stars like Jackie Chan became huge stars with films like the Rush Hour series. Jet Li became a worldwide star. Michelle Yeoh won an Academy Award and is considered one of the greatest stars of her generation. Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa, and many, many others have become huge stars because of the influence, because of the talent, and because of the know-how that Bruce Lee brought into the industry and helped shine a path for all of these stars from that time till now and even to the future. Enter the Dragon was so influential, not just for the movie industry, but also for the TV industry, for the video game industry, for the music industry, and also for people to get into martial arts in general. I think there's a huge spike in people going into kung fu classes, going into taekwondo classes, going to judo classes, karate classes, etc. since the release of Enter the Dragon. In fact, I went to taekwondo because of not just Bruce Lee, but also because of Mortal Kombat and Enter the Dragon. I stopped at blue belt slash, I think, 1 red stripe. I should have finished off with a black belt, but whatever. That's another story for another day. But yeah, Mortal Kombat is highly influenced by Enter the Dragon. It is one of my all-time favorite franchises in general. It's my second favorite martial arts film of all time, obviously after Enter the Dragon. Mortal Kombat from 1995 is pretty much a blatant ripoff of Enter the Dragon with fantastical elements. It's pretty much the same story, but with fantasy elements. And obviously, the video game is highly inspired by Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon. Liu Kang is pretty much Bruce Lee with a character design change. Johnny Cage is based on one of the characters from Enter the Dragon. Bolo is pretty much ripped off into Goro with fantastical elements. The whole tournament style is pretty much Enter the Dragon in Mortal Kombat. But yeah, the influence is highly, highly noticed in this franchise and many other things as well. To end off this video, I want to talk about Bruce Lee again. This is one of my favorite quotes of his. And if you want to celebrate the life of this master, watch Enter the Dragon. If he is a painter, then Enter the Dragon is one of his most beautiful canvases of artwork he's ever made. celebrate his work, and celebrate the genius that he was.